I wanted to share with you some of the best ways of improving technique on the piano. This is especially important considering that it's probably the most commonly played instrument, and if you compose for the piano, your arsenal of composition techniques will improve as a result of your technique being improved. That should just make sense intuitively. You won't be as limited by what's possible or not possible. And so I'm not going to go over the fingering for every scale. You can find plenty of resources, but I'm going to show a specific pattern, a scale pattern, and some variations that I play every day, and usually spend about 45 minutes just on these scale variations. And this isn't to take the place of a qualified instructor, but if you're familiar with each of the scales, you can incorporate this exercise. And so I'll share with you the basic pattern of it, and then I'll play an example of it. So this is the basic pattern of scales that I play. It really improves your technique by following this. The basic idea of it is you play, now in unison means that each hand is separated by an octave. So the example I'm going to give is in E major, the E harmonic minor, and E melodic minor. So each of these units is 2 octaves. You go up 2 octaves with each hand, then you split and play in contrary motion 2 octaves. So your left hand goes back to the origin. Then you play in contrary motion the other way, back to the middle again. Then both hands go up to the top, both hands go to the middle, split again, and then meet each other in the middle, and then go back to the beginning, the bottom. And then without stopping, you continue that same pattern in the harmonic minor through all of this, and then you repeat again for the melodic minor. Then after you're done with that, you play with your left hand starting here, but your right hand playing a third above it on the mediant. So your left hand starts on the tonic, your right hand starts on the mediant. So in the case of E, your left hand would start on E, your right hand on G sharp. And then when it comes back down, your right hand would then start on G natural, since that's the mediant in the minor mode, both minor modes. And then after you go through all three modes, then you do the same thing in sixths. So your right hand starts where it did initially, your left hand starts on the mediant, a sixth below your right hand, and you do the whole sequence like that. I'll give just a general overview of the pattern of the 3 modes. Hopefully you're fairly familiar with the scale patterns, but this will help you at least be able to figure out the notes on any starting point. So these are the scales. Now, if you noticed in the pattern that I showed you previously, the natural minor is excluded. I'll explain why. But just for the basic pattern of the major, harmonic minor, and melodic minor scales, here is how they are figured out. So a whole step can be defined as 2 half steps. A half step is a chromatic a minor second. So an example of a half step would be from E to F, because it's the very next note. So a whole step would be E to F sharp. So that's what these mean, in case you're not familiar with it. Whole half, whole half. I used E because it's a little bit more interesting compared to the C scale, which is usually the first scale learned, but also I prefer the E scale for other reasons. The natural minor, we just lower the mediant, the third, as well as the 6th and the 7th. So we end up with, well, how about I just play an example of each. So in E, the major scale, for the natural minor we lower the 3rd, 6th, and 7th. Descending, and that'll be kind of important in just a minute when we come to the melodic minor. Harmonic minor, we lower the median, the third. Also, this little looks maybe like a lightning bolt. This is the natural sign. So if we have a sharp or a flat, if we have this, that means we negate the accidental. It's just G natural. So harmonic minor, we lower the G from the major mode, and we lower the sixth, but we keep the raised seventh. And so technically this would be an augmented second. It's the same as a minor third, but since we're going from two notes in succession, it's C to D sharp is actually an augmented second instead of a minor third. This is what it sounds like. Okay, and then finally the melodic minor. Now this one's interesting because it changes when descending. In fact, the descending melodic minor, we'll go ahead and listen to it. Tonally, I'll probably get into more of this in a future video, but the melodic minor is very important for establishing a tonal center, the way that it's arranged, because these notes right here are the same as the major mode, and actually they lead into the tonic a little bit more clearly. Descending, it descends back to the tonic more clearly because it's the same. The descending melodic minor is the same as the descending natural minor. So we omit this in the sequence that I just showed you because we're basically already playing the natural minor. It might be a little bit redundant to play this and then this and play the same thing again. So so anyway, this is the basic pattern of those four scales. It's good to have this somewhat memorized in case you're not already closely familiar with each scale, so that you can figure out at least if it's correct or not. So now I'll go ahead and play the whole sequence on E so you can hear an example of it. Okay, so here's the pattern on E. I'll play in unison, then I'll play in thirds and sixths, so you can see how it goes on the keys, since the diagram I wrote might not be as effective than actually compared to actually seeing it done. is a very effective tool for improving dexterity, overall technique. Scales are seen all over in music, and now that was, it felt like 100 beats per minute. It might have been a little bit more or less, and I usually try to get up to at least 140 when I'm warming up, and you can go above that, but the key is to do it effectively and not compromise technique just for speed. In future videos, from time to time, I'll show some other variations of scales, arpeggios, things that might really help you to improve your technique.